What is going on, everybody? Here's my fake look. I'm wearing the helmet. Uh, it is Tuesday night, and it is a crazy, crazy Tuesday night. We have never been faced with this kind of nonsense before. We are actually broadcasting live during election results. This is an election
Right.
year, and this could arguably be a very important election, depending on which way you lean politically.
You know what?
Brian and I,
It,
we,
it,
we
it
lean
it's an
towards
it's an
anarchy.
election where we get a new president, but nothing will change.
Exactly. Um, yeah. So again, like I said, Brian and I support anarchy, so that's why we're here. And we don't really care much about what's going on. I will say I'm watching it just so I can mess with certain people. But anyways, what's going on, Texas? And I guess the rest of the world, because we do have fans kind of scattered all over the place. So it's Tuesday night. We're going to talk some football. First of all, though, you guys know me. I'm SAJ, Loudmouth of the South, coming to you live from the Kettle Restaurant Studios.
Oh, that's
Used
a
to
nice one. We
love
haven't
going
used that
there.
one before.
No, man. And it was so good.
Yeah. I mean, it was just your typical kind of just diner restaurant. It was great. What's up, everybody? I am BD. As you can see, different location. I am coming for remote from the Deer Camp Studios up in beautiful Abilene or just outside Abilene, Texas. Trying to get me some deer meat. So I got one more day. I'm coming home tomorrow. Hopefully, haven't seen anything worth getting yet, but hopefully I see something tomorrow and I come back and
Yep.
get some deer jerky.
Yep. You never know, man. It's usually always that last day where you get that one kill
Yeah.
that you need to round out the hunting trip. Sometimes though, you get nothing, right?
But you know
I
what? That's fine with me though. Honestly, I love being up here, being in nature for a week, get away from everything. It's great. It's a great time. So I have killed
and
two wasps that were hanging out in my deer blind though. So at least I'm not going home completely empty handed if I don't get a deer
well,
tomorrow.
that counts for something, right? So, anyways, yeah, we got, obvious craziness going on tonight and all kinds of stuff to talk about. I think what we should probably do is open up the chat, and it's our
Right
brother
off the bat.
Jesse. What's up, Don
What's up?
Brahma?
What's up, Jesse? You ready to get some metal plates welded onto some construction equipment?
It is time, and we do need to do some of that, don't we? Um,
Way
and
overdue.
and the cool thing is, I know people that can do that. So we're good, man. We are good. So when we decide to go full on, Wolverine, Red Dawn, I know guys that can get us taken care of. So
Let's
100%,
go.
we're good. We are good. But yeah, so all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm trying to post while we're doing all this, and I'm not uh I'm not doing a great job. It'll be okay.
That's all
Uh
right. Well, I mean,
so
let's kick off with the NFL weekend. Sunday. How
do we
did
have to?
I mean, I think we both had some rough weekends. So you know,
This
uh,
weekend was absolutely embarrassing as a Packers fan. I tried to watch the game while I was out doing stuff, figuring, we went to Worst Fest this weekend. For those of you that may not know, Worst Fest is a celebration in New Braunfels. It's the 10-day salute to sausage, as they like to call it, because Wurst is sausage in German. Lots of fun, lots of good times, right? But I made the mistake of I figured, man, I'm around, my German people. This reminded me of Wisconsin. Nice, cool breeze coming through. I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to have an incredible time. And the Packers got freaking curb stomped, man. It was bad. It was embarrassing. So,
yeah,
not
that
good at
was
all.
that was kind of a rough game for you guys. You know,
Here's, I'm trying to bring up the stats right now. Because there was a little bit of concern about Jordan Love, right? And kind of where he was at physically with the groin injury. And do we start Willis? We knew we were going to be in for a fight with this game. And we knew that it was not going to be easy. Here's the problem. Like, we made sure that we were involved in that game in the first quarter, right? We finished it out 3-0. We're up. Everything looking kind of in our direction. And then that second quarter, we absolutely fell apart. 17 unanswered points. Okay. Jared Goff, who we arguably know is not he's on a tear. He's got a great team around him, but we've seen what happens when he doesn't have a good team. We're going to go ahead and delete that nonsense.
Remove that guy.
We don't put up with stuff like that here. Don't put your spam in our chat. Anyways,
look, if anybody's going to spam the chat, it's going to be us. All right. We don't need your help. We'll put enough crap on the show. Ooh. We don't need any assistance with that.
Some fried spam would be good right now.
You fat bastard.
Okay. Anyways, getting distracted. We were a little worried.
You got a little
drool.
Yeah, a little drool.
It'll be okay. It'll be okay. We were a little worried about Love's status, and so then the toss up: do you put Willis in, take the chance on him, let him get roughed up, so you can keep the show pony happy and healthy, for the stretch? What do you do? So they decided to run with Love, and he didn't have a horrible game stats wise. 23 of 39 is not bad. 273 yards. But one interception, no touchdowns. That's not good, right? And so all the points that we made were all off of field goals and just garbage points, right? Not cool at all. But at least we got a kicker now. And Josh Jacobs
didn't he miss one this week?
He may have. Let me look and see. Where is where's our he's 2 of 3, 38, or 38 was his long. He got 6 points.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take 2 of 3 versus 0 of 3, which is what we had before. And again, we know Jared Goff from, way back in the day when he doesn't have a team around him. Guy's absolute garbage. So I guess we were hoping that maybe the Lions would forget that they were a good team and they wouldn't show up.
I mean, this year, Goff, he's probably front runner for the MVP. And I mean, he's completing what? Like,
he's towards the top.
80,
he's towards the top. I'll give you that.
80 something, 90% of his passes damn near. I mean, hell, freaking he had 4 incompletions this game, and you call him a bum because it's probably one of his worst games he's had in a long time. And really, with the way the rain and everything, I mean, he had 145 yards passing, so they really relied on the run game mostly. I am curious though about Brian Branch. Did you see his ejection? Did you see that play and everything that happened?
I did not. What happened there?
So Brian Branch, the defensive back for the Lions, I forget who the receiver was for the Packers. He went up to catch the ball, and Branch, I mean, it was a obvious helmet to helmet hit. They threw a flag, called him, for the defenseless receiver and all that stuff, which obviously it was a correct penalty. And then about a minute later, they came back and said, whatever, further review or something, he's ejected from the game because it was a blatant hit or something like that. It was weird. I would want you to go back and look at it, just kind of see what happened, what you think of it. But watching that play on my end, yes, it was absolutely a penalty, but for them to throw him out of the game like that, I don't know, man. I do not think that was the correct call. I think it should have just been a penalty. And then, you saw the clips of Green Bay fans flipping him off, and he was flipping off the Green Bay fans back at him, and blowing kisses to him and all kinds of stuff. So it was an interesting kind of series of events with all that.
No, I did see the pick six though, which did not help us. That really wasn't the video that I was looking for. Now I'm even sadder. Um, yeah,
Or you
that
trying
that
to
was
look for the
horrible.
video of the hit?
I was, and I was not ready to see that pick six all over again. So, and that's okay. That's okay.
So you know what's
I'll
funny is
figure it
actually
out.
I kind of did a quick little search too, looking at some stuff, and I came across an article headline that Tom Brady won't face punishment from the NFL for criticizing the ejection of him because apparently now that Tom Brady is a part owner of the Raiders, part
Mhm.
of his stipulation of being able to broadcast games while being a part owner is there's certain things he's not allowed to criticize.
Yeah.
So I think, the officials and stuff like that is one of the things that he's not allowed to make criticisms of while he's calling a game, which is kind of crazy how you're going to do that as a broadcaster. So
Well, broadcasters are allowed to offer opinions on stuff, but even then, you don't really hear them criticize the calls that are being made. They might say something like, "Oh, that might be a missed call," or "I might review that," or whatever. But they don't blatantly call somebody out and say that was absolutely the wrong call. They
oh,
blew it.
I've heard him plenty of times say that. I mean, it's not often, but it's happened quite a few times that I've seen. Uh,
It
but
it has happened in the past. Let me refine what I'm saying. As a general rule, you don't normally call out anybody, any of the officials, and say, "Man, you blew this call."
yeah,
Okay, they might say the officiating crew in general, and I'm sure that's probably what Brady did. I don't think he called out any one specific referee on uh, that questionable call. And I mean, I've seen clips of it. I didn't see it live. It was it the right call? I mean, it was a helmet to helmet hit. Yeah, you got to penalize for that. Was that a highly charged emotional game? Of course, because it's an NFC North game and it's a
well, yeah.
division rivalry game. And so I
But
understand
there
you
wasn't
maybe
any
you're trying to
creepiness
set.
before that. Like if there was jawing and kind of pushing and stuff like that before, then I could kind of see that. Hey, we don't want a penalty like this to escalate everything even further. But this was the first thing that happened in the game that was like that, and I don't know. Maybe they wanted to make it. Hey, we're gonna stop it right here. We're gonna knock this crap off. But I don't know. I thought it was a ridiculous call to eject the guy. So
Yeah. I don't necessarily disagree. Just simply because I mean I'm biased, right? But at the end of the day, I am still a football fan. I'm going to support my team. But if there's a bogus call, I'm going to call it. And it sounds like this one was. I'll go back and review the film. But if Tom Brady is saying something about it, chances are it probably was a bad call because
yeah,
he's got no dog in the fight. What does he care? So if he's
yeah,
saying something, probably not necessarily the right call. It does look like there are some other teams that maybe didn't make the right call. Like I want to see this one real quick. The Colts thinking that they stood a chance. I am surprised that the 4-4 Colts gave the 5-2 Vikings, an actual game. Uh, it did not turn out the way that I was hoping that it would. So now there's definitely some separation in the NFC North. Pardon me. Oh, sorry. My drink is acting up a little bit. Um, so Packers obviously have dropped down to number 3 at 6-3. Vikings have moved up to 6-2 in second place, and of course Detroit is running away with the division at 7-1. And Mike, you're not wrong. Brady is not necessarily the greatest when it comes to being an analysis or an analyst. I don't know where an analysis came from. Too many letters there. Um, Maybe that drink is kicking a little harder than I thought tonight.
it's a
But
an analyst.
that, yeah. Um, but he's not wrong on this call, and I
No,
hate to say it that way. But again, I mean, it kind of is what it is. Who is wrong though is the Dallas Cowboys dropping one to the Falcons.
I mean,
BD, let's talk about it.
hold on. I just got a sticker burr on my foot. Let me get that off real quick.
A sticker
That's the thing
burr.
about being in the country. These damn sticker burrs get everywhere.
Yep. And that's the funny thing about being in the country, because only in Texas do they call them sticker burrs. So
what do they call them
but
everywhere else?
we always called them stickers back home. Because that's what they did, is they stuck you.
Yeah. Well,
Although I will say that the stickers up there are different than the ones down here. They're much smaller. Remember, like the smaller ones that just kind of stick to your clothes and stuff like that.
yeah.
And then the ones down here, they stab you in the spleen.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they're messed up, dude.
They're evil.
Texas just hates everything. Anyways, Texas hates everything, including the Cowboys. Let's talk
You know
about
what?
that game.
Yes. You know what? I hate the Cowboys right now because they're stupid and they suck. And I think Prescott said it best when not the hidden camera, but I think everybody saw his sideline saying to his teammate, "We effing suck." You know what?
Mm-hmm.
You're right, Dak. You're absolutely right. You effing suck.
He does. Now, let me ask you this.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he said me effing suck.
Me suck. Let me ask you this, because you're in a leadership position. You've worked under great leaders before, and as have I. We worked under one really influential great leader.
Yep.
All of his subordinates have all basically moved into management positions now. The guy was that good. But let me ask you this: in a situation like that, where things are just not working, what's the right play there? What do you do? What do you say?
I think there's something like good for him saying that, because he goes to his press conferences after the game and does all the dude. I wish. Dak says all the right things, that he is kind of a good leader in the locker room and rallies the guys and all his teammates love him, and he says the right thing. We got to play better and we got to do this and we got to do this. But sometimes you just got to say, right now, we just effing suck. And you know what? Yeah, we got to be better. So,
but and so let me throw something a little bit different at you, a little bit of a curveball. Okay. As a leader, sometimes it's okay to take that burden on your shoulders and say, you know what, guys, this one's on me. Even if it isn't necessarily all on him, take that burden on yourself and say, you know what, guys, things aren't working. I am not leading this group effectively like I should be. What can we do to change that? How can we get out there and make things different? We're trying, an X post Z route, whatever, just, throwing random stuff out there. But, we're doing this and their defenders are all over us. How can we switch that up? What can we do? How can I get this ball to such and such receiver and get some positive yards here?
So I think they had a good game plan to start the game, because obviously the Cowboys have sucked running the ball this year. They had one good game all season, but really, I mean, it's been an absolute struggle, to put it lightly. The line can't run block. The running backs are not the best. You got two used to be great but are now washed up, and then you got Uncle Rico, who's the best of them.
Put some respect on that name. 12 rushes for 75 yards. That's 6.25 average.
Well, that is, but what I'm saying, just listen to me. Just listen to me for a second.
Listen, Linda.
Listen, Linda. They started the game like with real quick passes, basically using the run game as more screens, more short out passes, something to kind of slow down the defensive line from rushing. and that opened up the run game. It actually really helped them to start the game, and I think it was a really, really good strategy. It kind of broke down, and I think they ended up getting a field goal on the first drive, but it was a good strategy. Now the problem is, I talk crap about Dak Prescott all the time because I don't like the guy. He's not the guy. I don't think he should have had a contract, but he's been, in the past, a really good regular season quarterback. This year, he's not. Something is off. His throws are off more than usual. I remember in the game there was one play where he threw the ball to Ferguson, and Ferguson went up. He was kind of coming across, and he went up and to go get the ball with one hand, and it bounced off his hand. It went up. It almost got picked, but Ferguson's coming back, and you can see Dak's pissed off at him, and was like, "Well, use two hands." And I'm watching this, and I'm like, dude, you overthrew the receiver. It was high and behind. How are you getting pissed off at the receiver because you couldn't hit him in stride? So, but it's just a lot of – I've seen a lot of plays like that from Dak this year. We've seen a lot of really good catches by Ferguson, by CD, but they've had to be those really good catches because the ball has been off. And it's something that I've noticed really a lot more this year than what we saw last year. And I think that's, led, the reason why he's had 8 picks so far this season when he had 9 all of last year. Now, all that being said, we're not really going to have to worry about that for the next 4 games because Dak is going on IR because of his hamstring. So now it's going to be the Cooper Rush show, which, obviously I think Cooper has some talent, but there is a talent discrepancy. As much as I dislike Dak, there's a major talent discrepancy between Dak and Cooper Rush. So, at this point, we're, 8 games into the season. Dak's going to be out 4, just freaking
3 to 4.
Pack him up. Let's just call the season as is. Let's get a high draft pick and move on.
I don't disagree. I think that's probably the smart play, especially Coach Tom and I have been talking about this. Right now would be the time for the Cowboys to be investing in the future and thinking about dealing some of the current talent that you have now to a team that's looking to buy now, that's looking to make a difference now, and prepare yourselves for the next 2 to 3 years, right? Start looking.
Well, who do we have? We have CD. We're not getting rid of him. I think the only other tangible, skill player is, you've got Ferguson. Really, offensively, that's all we have. We don't have a great line. We don't have running backs that are,
Was it a defensive player? Trey Lance. You can have Trey Lance. I'm not even going to put that comment on there. There's a defensive player that coach had said, and I can't remember who it is. I'll have to go back and get to it. But I would be taking the guys that are kind of fluid that you can get something for and start shipping them off to other places, getting good picks, start investing in that future because you're going to need a running back. You're going to need a quarterback, right? You're going to need some help on that offensive line. So let's start making the moves now to prepare you for the next 2 or 3 years because Dak's not the guy, and you're not going to get crap for him, right?
No.
So that you're going to have to take your hit with that, and just it is what it is, right?
Well, today would have been that day because obviously the trade deadline is done and passed.
Yep.
But the Cowboys did make a move. We brought in Jonathan Mingo from the Panthers for a 4th-round pick, which, you
And
know what? I know he definitely underachieved for the Panthers, but he was also playing for the Panthers and their,
right.
ragtag group of quarterbacks that they had. I don't hate the pickup as much as a lot of people are saying. Um, I know we kind of, we have our chat with XFL My G. We were talking about this a little earlier. CeeDee Lamb needs help as at a receiver. I've talked about that several times throughout this season. Cooks was supposed to be that kind of relief guy to get in and make the passes to kind of get some of the pressure off of CeeDee, but he went down. And really, none of the other receivers have stepped up to fill that role. Everyone has their moments, but no one consistent. So, hopefully, maybe Mingo can be that guy. Just not expecting him to be a number one, not expecting them to take over the team, but just be that guy to relieve CeeDee. So the teams can't focus on him every single time he runs a route. You got to have somebody to that can draw the defense away. So hopefully it can be that. Now, I said I like that deal. Obviously, I wish they would have done something to bolster up the offensive line to fix the running back situation. But they didn't do that. So, this is once again Jerry going all in and leaving us, missing some very important pieces. So,
Speaking of missing some very important pieces, apparently the Texans were missing some very important pieces this weekend, but they lost to the freaking Jets, dude. The Jets.
I
How do you
picked that.
lose?
I picked that loss in my pick'em leagues. So I just, you know what, and it wasn't really. I didn't do it because of the Texans as much. I thought that Favre was finally going to have a good game with Adams. But again, uh, Texans are still missing Nico Collins. They've been out without him for a few weeks. He's supposed to come back this week, which is good for them. Also good for my fantasy team, but because he's been hanging out in the IR slot for the last few weeks, and I really need his help. But
Yeah. That really surprised me. I would love if Rig could give us a little insight on what the hell was going on there.
well, I
Because
think it's the kind of what everyone's been saying. What they just, and I think it's a lot with the Cowboys too. Texans, their offensive line sucks this year. And they've got, they shouldn't. They've got Pro Bowlers, they've got, top guys, they've got high paid offensive linemen, for some reason they're not coming together this year. So
yeah,
it's
and
kind of surprising.
yeah, I know we talked about it in the preseason that there was a lot of expectations on this team to make a deep run in the playoffs.
Oh, especially
And
with getting Diggs and the year
Mhm.
that they had last year, then adding Diggs on top of that. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
But we say this, but once again, I think we talked about it last week. Texas are still top in their division. They're six
yeah,
and
I
three.
mean they're 6-3,
So, I
but
mean that helps when you've got a division that sucks. But you know, they they'll be fine in their division. Oh,
hope
hey,
hope
hope
for
for
hope,
hope.
baby, hope for hope. I'm going to do a shameless plug because you guys know I'm famous for these. Guys, if you want the best announcer in the business announcing for your San Antonio Brahmas, you need to start the hashtag Hope for Hope, blast it all over social media. Make sure that you get this guy right here, the voice of the UTSA Roadrunners, the voice of all UTSA sports, it seems like, the voice of all Judson athletic events. He even does games for other teams when Rutledge Stadium hosts, some out of town games and stuff like that. And those fans are like, man, we went to a professional game. You got to get this guy. Start the hashtag now. Hope for hope. Get this guy in that booth, man. Shameless plug over. Um, so yeah, I mean, you're right. At 6-3, and like Milton said, sophomore jinx, things are not necessarily gelling like we thought they would,
No,
but
but
there's
you know
still time.
they're in such a bad division that they can take all season to make it work, and they're still going to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, arguably, if the playoffs were to start this weekend, Texans would tear through any opponent that they have to play against. It's our guy. It's our Brahma in disguise. What's up,
right.
Marco? Good to see you. Chocolate cake. Chocolate cake. Get that started too. Anyways, that's a whole inside thing. We'll go into that later. So what are we looking at this next week for the schedules?
Man, so who is we're playing so Cowboys are playing Philly.
That should
Philly's the
be
six
an
Philly's the
interesting
6-2.
game.
I know Philly had a down kind of start to the season, but they're starting to pick it up. I don't think this is going to be a pretty game. Um, you know, especially everything that's going on. Obviously, Dak being out and stuff like that. The hatefulness of the rivalry and stuff. This is
Yep.
going to be. I think this might be a long game for the Cowboys.
It it
Unfortunately,
it could very well be. But this could also be a make or break moment where Prescott actually does something right. Because I mean, there's a
by
lot
sitting
of
on the
pride on the
bench.
line for this game. That too. But um but maybe he can give Cooper Rush some good advice
I mean,
and have Cooper
Cooper
Rush
Rush
actually
is
go out
not
there and
Cooper
execute.
Rush is not a slouch. He helped the Cowboys win. I think he went 4-1 or something. A few years ago when Dak got hurt before. He's got some talent. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I think it really depends on what the defense is going to do. Uh, if Parsons comes back, when he comes back, that's the biggest thing, man. Our defense is not stopping teams the way they were last year, and it's putting the offense in bad spots where the offense is having to score and they just don't have the capability of being able to. So that's kind of it really starts with the defense. But I don't know. Like I said,
Yeah.
I'm not really looking forward to this game.
Yeah. Well, I know Minnesota is definitely looking forward to their game because they're playing the 2-7 Jags in Jacksonville. So that should be a, a warm game, but it's not going to be any kind of a challenge. In the meantime, you've got Detroit
Texans are
taking on,
Texans are playing the Lions. Yeah, that's
yeah.
you know
So this is where we're going to find out. Like, we know what Detroit is capable of. All of their pieces are coming together very well, and they are really putting pressure on the NFC side of the equation. So, can Texans come back from a loss that shouldn't have been and redeem themselves, or is this going to be, a Goff, highlight reel? So, I'm hoping that the Texans defense shows up, that the offensive line does solidify at least for this game, and they can pull off a miracle win in Texas. We'll see how that goes. Okay, let's kick over to college ball because there were
well.
some pretty
Actually,
good
before we
games.
before we do that, I know we kind of touch on a couple of them, but today was the NFL trade deadline.
Oh yeah,
I know. Yeah, we
I
talked
don't
about the Cowboys picking up their receiver. The Packers. You guys traded somebody away. A lot of
I don't want to talk
teams.
about it. I don't want to talk about it. We gave up the number two of our 1-2 punch that we had 3 years ago with the Preston brothers, or with the Smith brothers, right? We had Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith, and both of them together were an incredible duo. We gave up Zadarius 2 years ago. Now we're giving up Preston this year for what? And we're still technically a contender, and we're giving up one of our stronger defensive pieces, and we got nothing out of it. We got a fourth round, or I'm sorry, I think we got like was it a fourth or a seventh round pick? I can't even remember. It was
No, I don't
absolutely
know.
pathetic. I shared it in our Alternative Football Network chat with Mike G, and it was just embarrassing
I
that
was
that
I
we
was in deer
gave up.
blind, so I didn't really pay attention to it. I saw it pop up, but I was doing other things.
Yeah, and so CBS Sports actually graded that draft. Packers got a D minus, or I'm sorry, D plus, and the Steelers got a B because they picked up a solid defensive piece to help out in situational defense. But we got nothing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, at least the Cowboys got a receiver that has some potential upside, right?
You know who else got a
And
receiver is, you mentioned them, the Steelers with the Packers trade. They also got Mike Williams from the Jets.
they
So,
did.
Steelers are kind of, they obviously they made 2 trades today. Uh, they're looking to maybe make a run, be dangerous over in the AFC. And then
Yep.
you got the Lions who picked up, Zadarius Smith. The Commanders got Lattimore from the Saints. A lot of
Oh,
teams got better today.
yep.
So, it's
Yep.
uh, kind of impressive, and see what's going to happen kind of, during the home stretch of this season, to see where these teams and, the players that went from, like you got Smith, who went from Cleveland to the Lions, probably from one of the worst teams in the league to probably the best team. So, you know,
Yep.
a lot of
So
good movement for these teams, for these guys.
yep. So it is definitely going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season looks with all these teams bolstering themselves. Of course, my Packers are on the bye. They're probably going to lose that too. There he is, Rig. When we needed you to talk about the stupid Texans, then you finally show up, and now we're moving on to college football. But it's great to see you, bud.
Yep.
And actually, I'm hoping to go to Houston and visit with him this weekend and just catch up for a little bit before he helps Detroit take that big fat L. I'm counting on you, man. It's the whole Green and Gold Nation is counting on you to cheer your butt off to get that win. You do your part, man. Anyways, college football. Let's talk. So, some interesting games, some that definitely played out kind of the way that we thought. How did your precious A&M Aggies do?
That game did not play out how we thought. I was afraid it was going to be a trap game. And South Carolina, it was. South Carolina came out immediately, went 14-0 just right off the jump. 7 minutes into the game, they scored 2 touchdowns. Aggies were able to get a field goal, and then kind of second quarter, they kind of slowed down, kind of got back into the game, ended up taking the lead. And then we went into the halftime tied at 20, which, going down 14-0 to start the game is really good to be tied at halftime. And then the wheels just fell off. A&M didn't score again in the second half. South Carolina put up 24 points. Really, 14 of those were in the last half of the fourth quarter. When the game was already decided, it was just kind of, screw you points. But man, I don't know what happened. It was just one of those. The offense was off. Reed was, 18 to 28, 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Not a great game. He only had 46 yards rushing, which is low for him, especially on 16 attempts. So he had a long of 20. So that means the other 15 attempts he got 26 yards. So for the most part, they had him contained. South Carolina had a really good game plan to get him contained. And I think the biggest, one of the biggest factors of that is the Aggies losing Le'Veon Moss and ended up losing him for the season with a leg injury. He was our best running back, and that's been kind of the A&M's formula all season long, is just dominate teams with the run game. And losing the number one of your 1-2 punch from running backs it put a major damper on that. So, I know we'll talk about it a little more later, but, the Aggies have conference or I'm sorry, national, tournament, national championship tournament, hopeful, but man, they're gonna have to figure something out to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Of course, the Buckeyes, the Ohio State Penn State game was actually a pretty good game. I got to catch a little bit of it. Buckeyes did wind up getting the win, 20-13. That was pretty good. Our favorite tongue-in-cheek team, Ole Miss, just stomped the heck out of Arkansas, 63-31. Oregon, of course, dominated. We knew that was going to happen. Georgia beat Florida. It was an interesting game. What else was interesting was my mighty UTSA Roadrunners basically, eking out the closest win that they possibly could have to go 4-5 on the season. Roadrunners first quarter scored 14, Memphis scored 10. And then they flip. Memphis scores 14, UTSA scores 10, right? So we're back to even ball game. UTSA managed to hold Memphis scoreless in the third quarter, and they got 10 points on the board, and then put another 10 on in the fourth quarter, and Memphis was only able to put up 12. So they wound up, obviously, with the loss. McCown actually had a pretty good game. He went 20-37, 280 yards, 4 touchdowns. There were a lot of drops. So some of it was forced passes. Some of it is just not connecting with the receivers. So UTSA is still struggling with some issues, but they managed to get the win. And so we might get lucky and break out of this year with a 500 season, which is not good considering the fact that we were bowl eligible last year, right?
Yeah.
We dominated. And this year, not so much. So hopefully Jeff Traylor and company can get through this season, hit the portal, get some more talent in here, and get the Roadrunners back on a winning track. But we'll have to wait and see how the rest of the season plays out. Now, our friends just up the street in San Marcos, they had a little bit of a struggle on their hands when they were playing the Raging Cajuns, which I believe was going on our last show.
I believe it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they wound up losing 23-17. First and foremost, who the heck plays a college ball game on a Tuesday night, right?
Dude, someone's playing right now. They did the college football rankings for the playoff, and then they went into a game. So
that's insane. But so Texas State is taking on Louisiana Monroe this weekend, and that should be a pretty good game. I see Texas State walking away with the win on that. The thing I wanted to talk about the most, though, San Antonio sports being San Antonio sports. Okay.
The viral sensation.
Yes. Well, first, it's important to note that the UIW Cardinals beat Houston Christian Huskies 45-20.
Nobody cares about that part of the game. Nobody cares about the score. All we care about is what happened during the game.
What happened during the game, BD? Let's talk about it. So
one of the coolest touchdown celebrations I've seen. All right. I mean, he goes it like scores a touchdown, goes up, does a headstand, and then just brings his arms up to his body and just like falls over like a tree. It was creative, it was funny, and apparently the officials didn't like it and they threw a flag. No fun league for college football. Boo.
Right.
But
however, it was so creative and so inventive that it was duplicated not once but twice this weekend in the NFL.
Yep.
Now tell me,
London did it for the Falcons, and then it was Amon St. Brown for the Lions did it. And so, but I'll tell you what, Amon St. Brown had a much better interpretation of it than London did. London's was kind of lazy. I'm not saying Brad did full commitment to it. I loved it.
He did. He did. Um, so yeah, it for those kids that are in college ranks right now, if you think people aren't watching, people are watching. Okay. So you guys keep doing what you do, keep balling out, and hopefully you guys get your chance to get into like the UFL or something like that, and you can show off your skills to eventually wind up in the pros.
Just
Okay.
go have fun, and maybe just maybe an NFL player will copy your touchdown celebration.
Exactly. And that's the ultimate compliment when a
Yeah,
pro is copying a rookie. So
absolutely.
keep it up, fellas. Okay. So real quick, I just want to touch on a couple of things in alternative football, being arena, international, all that stuff. So first and foremost, we talked about the Corpus Christi Tritons and their woes with the National Arena League. It looks like the National Arena League has in fact moved on without them. And all signs are indicating that the Corpus Christi Tritons are going back to the AIF League. That's good because they dominated last year. The only problem is right now, there's currently two teams registered with the AIF. So that's going to be a very small league. And I don't know how it's going to be successful. So fingers crossed, maybe another league partners with them and they do some crossover games or something until Corpus can figure out where they want to make their next move.
That's kind of what
Right.
the AIF did last year. They were playing a bunch of games. The teams were playing a bunch of games that were not in their league. It was just exhibition games. I remember seeing that a bunch with the AIF, with Corpus, with my mind just went blank. Who won the league?
Not Harrisburg. No, it was Harrisburg, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't
Because they just
Harrisburg.
moved up to the NAL.
No, it wasn't Harrisburg. It was somebody else. Damn it, I don't remember.
I
But
don't remember, but whoever it was, there were Billings, wasn't it?
yes, yes.
The Billings Outlaws.
Yes, yes, yeah. Like, but
Okay,
a lot of those teams were playing just random arena teams.
it was Columbus because Columbus moved over to the NAL,
Yeah.
and
Okay,
and
that's right.
Corpus
That's right.
was
That's
supposed
right.
to go with them. Right.
There was only like 5 AIF teams, so we named enough of them. Eventually, we'd get it right.
There you go. But yeah, you're right. They did play a lot of intramural games, if you will.
Yeah.
And so the chances are they're probably going to do that again. Uh, but they're going to need some more teams in the AIF to hopefully kind of keep that going. But so Corpus should be going back. All signs are pointing to it. We don't have anything confirmed yet, but that's kind of where that's at. So we'll keep you updated as information comes out, and that's sad for Corpus because with how good they were, they deserve to be in a bigger, stronger league.
Yeah.
So we'll have to
Was
see how
really
things
looking
break
forward to
down
them in
there.
the NAL, especially with Beaumont and Amarillo being in the league. Kind of
Yeah,
getting their own version of a Texas triangle going on. But unfortunately, they couldn't make it work. I know you had hopes for them maybe jumping into the IFL, but I didn't think that was going to happen with San Antonio having a team just 2 hours away. So uh,
yeah,
this is
and
probably the best move for them right now. And then maybe they try the NAL again next year, see what happens.
yeah. So, and I'm definitely wanting to keep my eye on the IFL this year, to see how things go just across the board. I don't necessarily care, what team wins or anything like that, other than obviously the San Antonio Gunslingers. But the IFL's had three teams go dormant now, and that's the Warbirds.
Frisco,
I'm sorry,
Duke City,
Frisco.
Duke City.
Uh, yeah, Duke City, and then now the most recent one, which was God dang it, it's on the tip of my tongue. Um, anyways, there was a third team that just went dormant today. So now the IFL is down to 14 teams. It's not bad, but normally they've operated at like 16 to 18 teams. And so I'm wondering kind of how that's going to affect everything and what buys are looking like. It looks like everybody's getting 3 buys. Well, some teams are getting 3 buys, some teams are only getting 2. Like San Antonio gets 3 buys this year. Tucson Sugar Skulls are only getting 2. Um, Jacksonville's getting 3. Pirates are getting 3, right? And it looks like the buys are coming from those games where some of those teams have dropped out. So you don't ever want to buy that way. So hopefully they get it straightened out. It should still be a successful league,
I
but we're
mean,
definitely
the
going to be keeping an
IFL's
eye
been
on it.
around for 15, 20 years, so they're familiar in arena ball and just kind of everything. I mean, it is a pretty fickle sport. There's always teams moving, changing, going to bet higher leagues, dropping down to lower leagues. There's a lot of movement in arena football. So the IFL showing that they know how to navigate it pretty well. So I'm not
Yeah.
expecting anything different from them.
Yeah. And then, of course, their schedule came out. So if you want to check out the schedule, see when the Gunslingers are going to be playing, you can always go to IFL's website, goifl.com. Thanks, of course, the arena information that we have, thanks to our friend Bobby Otten and Pro Arena Talk, because they're always hooking us up. And then, of course, Mike G is feeding us information as well. He's on top of it just as much as Bobby Otten is. So, guys, thank you so much for that. We also know that the IFA, I believe their schedule should be coming out if it is not already out. There's some big stuff coming out for them. In fact, to the point where Mike G even made a post that, sorry, Brahmas, you're going to have to wait because IFA is actually doing stuff right now. Um, and then,
Well, I think that post had to do with something else. They had to do with a certain Brahmas player that had mentioned returning, but is ended up not going to return to the Brahmas, but instead going to another team.
would that be a one certain kicker? I don't remember his name.
A certain spicy leg Pepe. Yes.
Yeah. So for all of you guys, and Rankin is absolutely going crazy with this announcement right now. That's our friend Dirty Toro, Robert Rankin.
Which
Um,
you know what? He's not on here, and I'm actually really disappointed because here I am. Obviously I'm at the bunkhouse at Deer Camp, and I have a picture in my background. So he would love to see it because apparently he misses the old one that I used to have. And here I am
I
with
know.
a picture in the background, and he's nowhere to be found. What the hell,
And
Rankin? What
I,
the hell?
I would love to know what Holiday Inn they got that picture from, because I'm sure I've seen it before. So,
Probably so.
anyways, so yeah, John Parker Romo initially had made a post, if you guys didn't know, basically calling out to the Brahmas and to the Panthers, hey, need a good kicker? I happen to
Yeah.
know a guy, right? It was a clever post. I give
Yeah,
him a
it
lot of
was,
credit
and
for
then,
that.
then he realized that the De La Haye had re-signed with the Brahmas. He's like, oh, hey, cool, okay, Brahmas, you got your guy, awesome. Hey, Panthers, you still need a kicker, right? Well,
Hmm.
apparently, Panthers aren't the only one who needed a kicker. Um, Minnesota Vikings, whose kicker apparently missed 2 field goals last week, they're picking him up once again because he was on their preseason roster.
Hmm.
Uh,
Well,
so
and then Minnesota's kicker mysteriously got hurt. I think
oh, did he? Did he really
yeah.
get hurt, or was it just his feelings?
Well, no, I think he Nancy Kerrigan himself, just so the fans wouldn't hurt him. Because anybody that knows anything about Minnesota, you know that they are not nice to kickers.
I
They
mean,
are brutal. So
you know what? I am happy for Pepe. Obviously, wish him the best. Want him to do well, but God, I mean, that's a brutal place to go because if you know the history of the Vikings and their kickers, and how Vikings fans treat kickers when they haven't lived up to expectations, let's say, Romo's walking into a hell of a situation. Now, he's a hell of a kicker, so I got no doubt he'll be able to succeed. But I mean, best of luck
yeah,
to him.
yeah. I
I,
think
th-
he'll
I
be
think
able to
I think
handle
the
the
last I
pressure.
think the last kicker that missed an important game for him got stuffed into the locker and just left there while the rest of the team, left the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, it was not good for him, that's for sure. But we're definitely rooting for you, John Parker Romo. We hope everything turns out for you there in Minnesota. The nice thing is, at least when you're kicking in accounts, you'll be in an indoor stadium, unlike Green Bay, who for whatever reason did not seem to show interest in this young man when we needed a kicker more than anybody in the league.
Yeah.
And we got fortunate to find one, and I hate to say it this way, but almost like the Walmart bargain bin. And it's working out. So I'm thankful for
So far,
that.
so good. You know what? I mean, he missed one last week, but I mean, you got to give him one for the way that weather was. So,
Well, and 2 for 3, I'll take 2 for 3 all day.
yeah.
When our guy before was 0 for 3 and from like 20 yards out. Like, how do you miss that? I almost think I could make that,
Now, isn't
So,
he?
anyways,
He's kicking for the 49ers now, isn't he?
yeah, and he's actually doing good.
Yeah,
And that's the worst part.
he's nailing 50-yarders and
Yeah,
all that stuff. So I
yeah.
think it's just
So
a
it's
Green Bay. I just think it's a Green Bay uniform. They can't kickers can't kick when they're wearing that green and gold.
I guess not, man. I don't know. But anyway, so we did have some players retiring and some players re-signing. I think we mentioned a bit of that last week. But if you hit up the UFL communications department on X, you can see a lot of those transactions and everything. But on our other show, Horns Forward Podcast, we did talk to one of the coaches last week, and there's excitement there. There's some momentum going. And so, we are getting some players back, and we're probably going to get some key players back. But I got a feeling that we're going to be coming back even meaner and nastier than what we were last year. And we've got a big chip on our shoulders.
Oh, hell
So,
yeah.
in addition to, hope for hope, this is revenge season, as Tutem Brahmasita via Brahma
No,
Babe
no, no, no,
had
no,
said.
no, 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 no. Last season was revenge
Oh,
season.
I'm sorry.
This
This
is
is payback.
payback season.
This is payback season.
Yes.
So start the hashtag payback season, right? San Antonio is going to be coming for that championship. We have got a lot to prove. We got done absolutely dirty in that championship game. And we were there. We saw it happen ourselves. It was not good. And those mistakes are not going to happen again this year. So I don't care if we're playing our 2 road games. It's against St. Louis in St. Louis. I don't care if the championship game winds up back there. Uh, I don't care if we wind up, and I hope to God we do face Birmingham in the championship game, so we can show them that the better team did not win last year, and that whole back to back to back nonsense in 3 different leagues, it doesn't even count. Anyways, we're going to show them that the better team will prevail because we've got the fortitude to stick it out. We've got the drive. We've got the hunger. We're coming for that championship. So, rest of the league, you're put on notice. We're coming. Now that I'm all fired up and I'm ready to go put the helmet on myself and jump in, let's talk about some fantasy football. How'd you do this week, Brian?
I went 2-2. I man, I'm hurting for some receivers and stuff, man. All my freaking guys are out. But I won one of the leagues. I'm in 2 money leagues. I won one of them. I lost one of them. But oh man, it was an okay week for me. At least I'm doing okay in the other leagues. I think I'm tied for second place in the one that we're in together, and I don't know what I am in the others, but it's been kind of a meh season for me in my other leagues.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at that league right now with all of our friends from kind of all across the nation with Alternative Football Network, and I am not in last place. I have successfully moved my way up to the top of the lower third, if you will, or the bottom of the middle third. But I'm sitting at 4-5. I did lose this last week, and it wasn't pretty. I got absolutely stomped by the Remarkable Rogue. 162 to 103. I mean, it just was not good. But the rest of my leagues, of course, the one that I'm concerned about the most, I'm absolutely crushing in that one. I think I've only lost 2 games total. And you're gonna love this. My opponent this last week was Coach Tom, and I beat the heck out of him.
Nice.
So, so I got that one under my belt, and then in my money league, um, I snuck a win in against a Chiefs fan. So that was nice, just because they've got enough to cheer for.
Yeah.
I let me have something, you know. But yeah, this next week is going to be a little bit dicey because I'm getting hit with a lot of the buys, and it's not fun, but it is what it is. That being the case, so we've got some good college football coming up. The college playoff, the college football playoff rankings did come out.
Yep.
Um, Texas is officially fifth in the nation
Fifth right
um,
now. They
for right
are.
now.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird how the rankings they're gonna have just their 1 through 12 rankings, but the official seeding is gonna be the whoever wins your conference title is gonna get the 1 through 5 seed automatically.
Yep.
So while Texas is number fifth, they're projected to be the 6th seed because Georgia right now is projected to win the SEC. So it's a lot, hell, ESPN spent an hour on this today to go through all the rankings, and it's going to change next week. And so, you know,
It
um,
could change tonight. I mean,
yeah, you got Oregon is number one. Obviously, they're 9-0. Ohio State, Georgia, Miami, then Texas. A&M is 14th, which I'm happy about. Considering how bad we played last week, we were 10th going into the week. So I mean, as an A&M fan, hey, if we win, we're going to be in the playoffs. We have 3 more games. We have a bye week this week, 2 more games, one non-conference, so that should be an easy win. I think we have Auburn after that, which is a really hard place to play or a really hard team to play, and then the big game against UT. That's going to be, as long as A&M can handle their business against the other 2 teams, that UT game is probably going to be for not only a spot in the playoffs, but potentially a spot in the SEC championship.
yeah. So obviously, there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff going on this weekend with college football. We're going to be seeing a lot of movement in the college football playoff rankings. Uh, Maybe, I mean, potentially, right? Um, but definitely, you're going to want to keep your eye on the big dogs and see what happens there. Also, in the NFL, we've got a huge game for me with the Lions and the Texans. Uh, Dallas has a pretty gritty game that they're facing. Could be an opportunity for them to right the ship, or it could be the Titanic. We'll have to wait and see what happens. And then of course, Packers have the bye. We'll probably lose that too, just knowing our luck.
Yeah.
But anyways, lots of great football going on. Lots of incredible stuff for all of the D2, D3 schools, stuff like that. So make sure you got your eyes peeled watching the football. And we'll be back obviously next week to talk more about it. Uh, we all know the election is going on. Hopefully, this was a good break for you guys. We don't talk politics here. Again, this is one of those crazy years where it's just not good. So, hopefully, like I said, this gave you a little bit of a break from all of that. Don't worry, America will still be here tomorrow. We've been through bad
Yeah.
situations. We'll get through this together, and that's going to be the key thing, right? Let's get through it together. Whoever wins, let's work together like Americans do, and we'll figure it out despite the craziness that's going on over there on Pennsylvania Avenue. So with that, I think it's time that we give our shout outs real quick, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up the show. So first and foremost, thank you, W Energy Drink, for being a sponsor of our show. We appreciate all that you do for us. We thank you for those wonderful products that you send us. And I need to order another mystery pack from them and see if they've got any new flavors that they can hook me up with. Because so far, several of their flavors are competing for number one in my rotation, and so I need something else to kind of to break that up. Um, but thank you guys. If you're interested in that W Energy drink, make sure you go to our Facebook page. We've got a link there, discount code, get you some, try it out, good stuff. We also want to make sure that we give a shout out to our friends Mike G and the Alternative Football Network and all the information that you guys help us out with and sharing our content and everything. Thank you so much for that. We want to give a shout out to Bobby Otten and our friends over at Pro Arena Talk for always having all the good inside information for us on everything that's arena ball. There's a couple of places that send us info for, like UFL or IFA, stuff like that. Guys, thank you for, making sure that you're keeping up on your socials on social media so that we can reference you guys. And we want to give out a shout out to our friends over at Fuel Network for sharing our content as well and being big supporters of the show. Most importantly, though, we want to thank you guys, the fans, for sticking with us, watching us during this crazy stuff. Episode 86 is now officially in the books. We are one step closer to that 100th episode. Um,
Who would have
we
thought?
probably should have taken tonight off. I'm glad we didn't because I don't need to be getting distracted by all this crazy political nonsense. It's just bad. Oh, it's
Yeah.
just bad. Ugh. And but again, anyways, thank you guys so much for sticking with us. We love you all to death. Thank you for everybody that participated in the comments section, gave some really good questions, things for us to talk about. And BD, you got anything else?
No,
Oh,
that's it.
we should probably talk about the post that's on the Horns Forward podcast
Oh
website.
yes, the
Let
the
me
Veterans Day thing.
yes,
Yes,
let me bring that
absolutely.
up real quick. Horns Forward podcast. I want to bring this up because again, I mean, we shared it to our Facebook page, but we want to make sure that we share this with you guys. So let me share screen because this is such a worthwhile cause. So if you see here, we made some friends on the Brahmas, and they are very big on supporting U.S. veterans. So over on the Horns Forward podcast, you can see veterans and homeless should never be in the same sentence, and yet thousands of soldiers who bravely served our country find themselves either at risk or sleeping on the streets as they fought to protect. I'll let you go ahead and read the rest of it on your own, but Veterans Day is November 11th. So if you were thinking about doing something to support our vets, you can give to this camo fundraiser. All the information is right there. Those proceeds go to help homeless veterans that are in situations where they really just kind of can't help themselves. So donate to that. It's a great cause. It helps out a very, very worthwhile charity. Again, I said it on Horns Forward podcast with me, aspiring to be a therapist myself. One of the things I want to do is help veterans who are dealing with PTSD. Well, these folks are doing that exact same thing, right? So they're putting their money where their mouth is. Now, if you can't help financially, at least wear camo to show your support for the vets on Veterans Day, right? We need to honor those who bravely served and took a chance on giving up everything to protect our freedoms in this country. While we may not be perfect, we're a damn sight better than a lot of other places in the world. So let's give kudos and credit and show support for those who are willing to put everything on the line to continue to protect those freedoms. This is
Yes,
where you jump in.
absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, share the link to your social media as well. Get the word out for this cause. It's a fantastic charity. It's just an amazing thing to do. So help if you
Yes.
can, share it, and
Yep.
support the veterans. Really, it's
Yep.
that simple.
And shout out to 210 Bramasita for making sure that she posted that information on the Horns Forward podcast and being such a big advocate and proponent of this charity. She's done a lot of stuff to help them out, just peppering it all over social media. So definitely shout out to her for making all that happen. That's it. That's episode 86 in the books. We love you all. BD. See you, bud.
Later.